What's going on, guys? Windrock Park, Oliver Springs, Tennessee was an absolute blast. We cannot wait to go back. Overall, great trip. We all got to step out of our comfort zones, hit some of the black trails. Last year we went to Brimstone and we didn't do anything that was considered a hard trail. This year we hit quite a few. They didn't all go our way. We had a few that would have been better slash harder if we would have went the other direction, but it was our first time there. We didn't know. Now we know. Next time we kind of have an idea what direction we want to hit some of the trails. For example, 30 going the other direction would have been a lot better, but we didn't do it. It's, like I said, our first time there, so we were just trying to cover as many trails as possible. Now that we're a little over a month out from being there, I definitely regret not trying to go up the Devil's Elbow. Still bothering me a bit. While we were there, and still now, I know that I did not have a shot. The Terra hooks just they're terrible on the rocks. They just don't work well in that terrain. You take a regular dirt, muddy trail, they do fine. You throw rocks in the mix, and they're not good. The other thing to remember is making decisions like doing the Devil's Elbow, which is pretty gnarly. You know, we've only been riding for 2 years. We all still are running stock cages. So the smart move is to not try going up it. And knowing that, I still regret not trying it. I was surprised that my machine, the 2020 Pro XP behind me here, made it the 8 days or whatever it was we were down there. Everything was rushed at the end to get that machine to Tennessee, and everything was kind of untested, but we did it. It survived. So shout out to my mechanic, who also happens to be my twin cousin, Greasy Gary. He definitely deserves a... Gary, knock it off.
What?
I told you to quit duct tape together. Act professional, man. Damn.
I told you to quit buying parts off of Amazon and I won't have to duct tape back together. I don't need this. I'll go back to greeting at Walmart.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
Sorry about that. Gary is a huge pain in my ass. Alright, guys. Before we go over some of the damage to the machines, I just got a couple takeaways from this trip. Number one takeaway is Rockzillas, the stickies, they're fucking awesome. They just are. And eventually, that is what we're gonna put on Steph's machine, the 21 Trails and Rocks. She'll probably run the 32s, stickies, just like on Dude's Pro XP, because they just work. My plan is to not run Rockzillas. I know I said they're awesome, and they are, but I don't really want to have 3 machines on the channel with the same exact tire. So my plan down the line is to get some XTR 370s, 32-inch, and put them on my Pro XP. So then we'll have 2 Pro XPs, and we'll have one with Zillas and one with the 370s. Not really sure when that'll be in the budget, but it'll happen. At this point, you know, we're a small YouTube channel, so everything just costs us a lot of money. Whether it's the braking stuff, filming stuff, everything costs money and takes time, but be patient, we'll get there. Second takeaway from this trip, this is about my Pro XP and Dude's Pro XP, so the 20 and the 21, one with the Walker Evans if you don't know, the other one, Dude's, has the live valve. Either way, disconnecting the sway bar. We've done scientific research before in Dude's yard, and you could tell that it helped for obstacles, but it made regular driving feel a bit sketchy with the body roll. And I think in that video I even mentioned, at a place like Tennessee, it would probably be beneficial, and holy shit it is. We didn't even take the whole sway bar off before we left. We threw together some little clevis pins and some washers and a cotter pin. Took one bolt out of the front sway bar, put this in, and then before we hit a couple of the harder trails, we disconnected it, and it makes a huge difference. We didn't disconnect the rear. We didn't even disconnect both sides of the front. Just took the one bolt out, put the pin in, disconnected it, and yeah, I love it. Unfortunately, because we're idiots, we spent the time to do this, and then we waited 3 days into the trip before we actually tried it.
Are you stupid or something?
8 days or whatever it was at Windrock. What the hell did we break? Thankfully, I mean, we never had to try and get a disabled machine out of the mountains. So dude, who has the 21 Pro XP Ultimate on this channel, as usual, like most of the trips, he got away with no damage. He got a few scuffs and gouges on his doors and some of the plastics, which is to be expected. His beadlock rings got some rash on them, but overall no big deal. Now Steph, who has the XP1000 Trails and Rocks, she had similar damage. Some of the plastics scratched, gouged, beadlock rings scratched, gouged. Overall, not a huge deal. Going down the Devil's Elbow.
There goes my mirror.
It's a foldable. I undid his duct tape, and yeah, it's a Amazon mirror, and it kind of partially breaks away, but it only goes so far. She was up against that rock wall. Once it hit its limit, it just snapped it off. This guy's just living life here. All right, my machine.
Now that's a lot of damage.
Since we're right here, first thing, my machine, the obvious, Devil's Elbow. That same rock that smoked Steph's mirror, well, it also smoked my door. As you can see, we have a rough spot here. In here. Oh, and in here. Door still kind of works fine. Gotta really slam it, but I'm sure I can adjust that. If Gary ever calms down, I might have him slap some Bondo on there, or you know, spray it with some SC1, and I'm sure it'll fix itself. Earlier, I keep talking about these tires, and I say it's not in the budget. And the reason it's not in the budget is because I keep doing shit like this. All right, so the biggest thing that I ruined on this machine, because it didn't break, didn't completely fail, I bent trailing arms.
I am never gonna financially recover from this.
Passenger side, worse than the driver's side, but both bent, and some of the powder coat is cracking, so I don't know if welds are compromised, but either way, they're bent. The alignment on the rear tires is definitely way out, so those are getting replaced. I don't know how well it'll show up on camera, but hopefully you can see the bend. Here's the driver's side. Like I said, passenger side's worse, but they're both bent. That was the biggest dollar thing that broke this trip, so it could have been a lot worse, but still unfortunate. If you guys are returning viewers, you've probably heard me saying in some of my previous videos where stuff breaks that I'm done going the budget route on parts, but the trailing arms, we're going the budget route. It's what I got to do to get it fixed. I want to keep riding. If you don't know, I pretty much lost most of last year for shoulder surgery, so I don't want to do the same thing because of a trailing arm. So the goal is get it fixed. So the driver's side, not as bad as the passenger side, but we did have an issue on Trail 30, which would be the previous video. If you haven't seen it, you can watch that and you can see what happened, kinda. That particular trail is one that I spoke about where it would be a lot better coming the opposite direction, but we didn't know. We went down it, and we got in a situation where there's some oncoming traffic. They're coming up the hill, we're trying to go down. There's nowhere to go to the right, nowhere to go to the left, and they didn't want to wait. There was a spot I could have got, but they just kept coming. Didn't know how many there were. They kept coming, and unfortunately, a few machines slipped by, and a X3, not so much. We swapped some paint. Well, we don't have any paint, but, you know, we rubbed. And that's kind of what really jacked up this fender flare, but it's just bent plastic, still functions. We're cool with that. I got some heavy gouges here and here. Biggest problem is some of these panels from my rollover, which was before we had YouTube. Shortly after I got the machine, I did it because I'm an idiot, but I compromised some of these panels, and when he hit me here, you know, it went all the way up the roll bar. You can see he was up against me. If you watch the footage from inside the car, you can see it going like this. Because that's him just crunching alongside me. But anyways, the last mounting tab on this panel, he ripped off. So now this thing just flaps in the breeze. Don't actually care, just showing you guys. So he came down, rubbed against the door, and here against the cage, plastics. So nothing crazy. So coming back from the Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary was probably Steph's favorite moment of the trip, and I'll show you a clip now. Steph is currently towing me. Damn it. She loved that she had to tow me down the road. I don't even think I had the camera rolling when this happened, but we stopped at a little convenience store and got some water. I got a Yoo-Hoo, and I was trying to drink that Yoo-Hoo, and we were rushing to get back on the road. And this machine has the Aftermarket Assassins Stage 3 tune, and part of that tune, you are able to start the machine without your foot on the brake. And if you do that, for whatever reason, it throws a code, check engine light comes on, and no big deal. It's happened before, but you turn it off and you put your foot on the brake, start it back up, and it goes away. Well, I was rushing to get out on the road, and I did that, but I don't think I left it off long enough, because I realized I did it and it was going to throw a code, shut it off, and just fired it back up with my foot on the brake, and went down the road, and we're going. It's like a 45-mile-per-hour speed limit, and then all of a sudden I'm like doing like 20, and it's just obviously in limp mode. And then I'm like, shit, and, you know, in my head, I did all that, so it's not that. And I'm like, I don't know what it is. My little dash was all full of dust, so I didn't even see the check engine light. And eventually I got to the point where I'm hitting the gas, and nothing's happening. Like, it's not revving up, like, you know, the belt's blown or anything. You just hit the gas, and it just idles and does nothing. So, obviously, had to pull over, and it was a terrible spot, so that's why Steph was pulling me to a spot where I can kind of get off the side of the road. And by the time I went to look and see what the code was, it had already cleared itself, fired it up, and we drove away. So no big deal, but Steph really enjoyed having to tow me. Overall, trip was a success, and yeah, could have been a lot worse, but we'll get everything fixed and go back out and probably break it again. If you guys haven't already, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. That helps us out. Hitting the like button helps us. Commenting on the videos, that all helps us because it helps move the video in the mystical algorithm of YouTube, and that helps us grow, and that's what we're out here trying to do. So if you can do that for us, that'd be much appreciated. We love seeing the comments and the likes and watching our following grow. So let's keep that moving, guys. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.